We got some leftovers in the fridge to cover. The Jets beat the Broncos, but still some things to go through. We'll go through all of them. Make sure you guys get your comments in because Boy Green Daily starts right now. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever seen.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, everybody. Victory Monday for the New York gosh darn Jets, baby. And it feels good. It feels juicy. And there's a lot of leftovers in the fridge, so let's go through all of them. Make sure wherever you're watching for Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show with me, Boy Green, heavy on Jets, YouTube and Twitter. Get your comments and questions in. We'll get to them throughout today's program. Without further ado, on a Monday, we have Italy Jet joining us here on the show. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, and Andiamo. Happy Victory Monday. It's a great day to have Breece Hall, ain't it?
That's for damn sure. And about time, because I think Jet fans have been frustrated for weeks with this pitch count thing. And it was smart. You know, the Jets have to go through, their medical plan of, because it would have been very easy after that Breece Hall outburst on week one, where he had 127 yards and change, to go, F the pitch count. This guy's ready right now. And thankfully, they have greater patience than Jet fans because now he finally gets released in full form and has a career day. So it was spectacular to see. Finally, great to see. And then against Denver, quelling some demons, I think.
Well, a big game for Vera Tucker, big game for Hackett, big game for Hall. As we know, Hall and Vera Tucker had injuries last year on the same field. Hackett with all the drama in the summer with Peyton. It just felt right. 31-21. Of course, every Jet fan, I know you, Paul, would love to go 40, right? Just like maybe against the Patriots, that didn't work out that way, but this was a get-back game for us going into the Eagles, and then the following week is a bye week. So this was good. There's a lot of things we definitely need to correct, but this was a good game going into the Eagles.
No doubt. You mentioned the name, and I see it in the comments, guys. I wish I had a update to give on Elijah Vera Tucker. Right. He was injured during the Broncos game. The Jets said it was a calf. He was immediately ruled out. All of those are bad signs. And then after the game, Robert Saleh was asked about it. He said he's concerned, number one. And then when asked specifically whether it's an Achilles, because Achilles and calf are brother and sister in the injury report, if you see one, it could lead to the other. He said he needs to get an MRI. So TBD. I don't want to wildly speculate, but right now that is up in the air and there's a concern. I will say this. With him out, the only in-house options are Billy Turner and Max Mitchell of legitimacy, unless you're going to start rearranging the whole deck again. So those two are your options. They were both competing for both the left and right tackle spot during training camp. However, if AVT is out for a significant period of time, and I do not know, I expect that answer to come here shortly because that MRI is supposed to be happening this morning. So it could be by 9 or 10 o'clock. This is live at 7:30 in the morning. So we may get an answer on that sooner rather than later. If it's a long-term thing, I am 100% making the call to La'el Collins. He's a guy who's a free agent. He's healthy. And he has shown really good right tackle tape in his past. That would be an intriguing addition. And Billy Turner and Max Mitchell are fine in spot starts, but I don't know if I would trust them long term. You owe it to yourself, you as the Jets, digging into that. So I would seriously explore La'el Collins sooner rather than later, in my mind.
I 100% agree. I would call Collins immediately, just whatever happens with Vera Tucker. Even if Vera Tucker is fine, or if he is out for a significant of time, because I don't trust Billy Turner. Max Mitchell did okay. but we still need a backup option because it is against the Eagles, and we are going into the bye week where we got to make some decisions. And I think offensive line is definitely something we need to address going into the bye week.
Yeah, and thank goodness. So Mekhi Becton was another one who was banged up during the game. I don't know how much of this we got to the post-game show last night because it gets all crazy with Sean Payton stuff, but
Right.
Mekhi Becton was hurt multiple times yesterday,
Yes.
and shout out to him to continue to come back in the game and tough it out, and he finished the game, and we did not hear anything from Saleh in the immediate presser after the game. He will speak again here in the early afternoon, normally on Monday, so we'll see, but that's encouraging to me. For Mekhi because when he and AVT are out, and then you're trotting out both Billy Turner and Max Mitchell. That's just not a good situation. So Mekhi has been great this year. So he's been very good. We get a YouTube super chat, which by the way are available to everybody. If you'd like to contribute to the program, feel free to do so. We have DFF1234. What are the keys to get the next win? Already, he wants me to flip that sign already to Philadelphia Eagles. I love it. All right, there's no time to celebrate said win. I will simply say this: based on what I've seen this year from the Eagles, they're not the Super Bowl Eagles of last year. What do I mean by that? They're undefeated. Other things. I think they're vulnerable. I think they're gettable.
Yes.
And you're at home. Yes. You're playing the defending NFC champions. The thing to me is you've never beaten them in your history. And to me, it's kind of a gravy game. I think the Jets opened as a 6-point underdog at home against the Eagles. The fact of the matter is no one believes you're going to do it. And it's going to be an us against the world kind of mentality. And they did pretty well with that against the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's roll out the ball and see what happens. But what are the keys? The keys are challenging that questionable secondary of the Eagles. The defense on paper is very good, but they've got vulnerabilities from that perspective. Could be a good big Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson game because they're obviously going to try to stop Breece Hall. That's what everyone's going to try to do, but try to get creative with some of those other pieces on offense. I think that's the key. And another key is scoring more points than the Eagles. I've heard that could lead to a win if you finish with more points than the Eagles. So that's another key, I would say. Italy, any thoughts here?
Well, their offensive line has been doing very well. It's just everything else hasn't. I mean, there's already drama with A.J. Brown. There's already drama with Devontae Smith. Hurts has to choose. I don't think it really is a big deal to choose, but you got two divas in one offense. And it's one of those things where you got to maneuver. You got to be better than that. And Hurts hasn't shown that. I know they had a close game with the Rams. I get that, but that offensive line has been pretty good. Our defensive line needs to be on their game against the Eagles. That defense hasn't really been that great. I think we can definitely expose them with Breece Hall. I think we could definitely expose it with our tight ends and with Garrett Wilson. Wilson just has to be a little bit more consistent driving out. He's got the arm, and I think they got a good plan for him. But the thing is, this offensive line scares me again. I mean, with everything going on Vera Tucker right now, we don't know what's going on with Becton. I want that Collins move to happen now. That's going to be a very big question mark going into this game against the Eagles at home.
Yeah, and another thing to throw out there, again, to this question of what are the keys to victory, to me, is starting faster, and that is offensively, that is defensively. The Jets, checked off all these bucket lists yesterday of their first points in the first points in the first quarter this season, and they only got that because of the special teams turnover and things of that nature. They need to start faster against a Broncos team that is not very good. They have good pieces about them. I'm not trying to denigrate the win. A win's a win, baby. But I don't think you can start that slow against the Eagles because they can get on you like the Chiefs did. The Chiefs got on you. You're down 17. You're spotting in points, and you have to make this miraculous comeback. Don't make the comeback. Just start faster. Start faster on defense. Start faster on offense. Easier said than done, of course. But to me, I think that's another big key heading into this game. That would be something else that I would certainly highlight as well. Sean Payton. But yes, go ahead.
Well, and not only that, all these games lately, with first quarter, we're not doing anything. We haven't been consistent all four quarters. It seems like we get going in the second and third quarter, and you can't do that against these big teams, especially going into the Eagles, because if we make mistakes, they're going to expose us real quick, just like what happened with the Chiefs game. If we're more consistent first, second, third, and fourth quarter, this is going to be close, and I think we could definitely win by a little bit more than 20 points.
By the way, the Jets have never beaten the Eagles in their history for those counting at home. It's just one of those weird statistics. They don't play them that often. It's once every 4 years outside of an alignment issue where they're in the same standing as the other team and they get them sometimes more than that. But no, it has never happened, rather, for the Eagles. So that'd be nice to check that one off. And again, imagine if you get that upset, which would be an upset. You get that upset, you go to 3-3 heading into the bye, regroup. And we talked about all those teams they have, like Washington and Houston and Atlanta and the Raiders and the Chargers. Man, there's some ops. Giants, obviously. I forgot that one. And Daniel Jones looked like he hurt his neck, which is unfortunate for him. But that would mean Tyrod Taylor time. So, like, I don't know. There's a lot of gettable on the schedule. Yes, sir.
Well, what happens with that? I mean, Tyrod Taylor, he could get injured next play too. But I'm looking at the back-to-back weeks between Buffalo and the Dolphins. That's going to be a really big test for us after the bye week. I know it seems like our schedule might get a little bit easier, but for now, I'm focused on Buffalo. I'm focused on the Dolphins after the bye week because that's going to be a back-to-back week that could be a pivotal point in our season.
Well, I will say this. I see a lot of people. It's funny. It's funny because I've become a bit of a Dalvin Cook truther somehow. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Like, I'm not quite sure it was on purpose, but like somehow I've been bestowed that title, the Prince of Darkness, to defend Dalvin Cook. Because here's the thing with Jet fans. That I noticed on social media. I thought it was kind of funny. Like so let's just say that Zach Wilson, right, throws the interception at the end of the game. I see people memeing on Twitter, God damn it, Dalvin Cook, what the hell? And I'm like, what? So there was a lot of like just throwing things at Dalvin Cook, sometimes even when he wasn't on the field. Nice job, Dalvin Cook. And I'm like, well, what are you people even talking about? Dalvin Cook had nothing to do with whatever the play was. So people are very against Dalvin Cook right now. But I'm going to be honest. I know it doesn't show in the numbers. Dalvin Cook actually showed a little pop yesterday. I was like, okay.
A little. Yeah, just a little. Yeah.
A little. I understand the bar is going beep, boop, 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 boop. I understand the standards are dropping a little bit. But I saw a little something from Dalvin. And honestly, I don't think Dalvin is washed or done, as John Hepburn, a loyal follower, says. I don't think he's gassed. I don't think he's done. If we put it all in proper perspective, Zach Wilson looks horrible the first whatever games of the season. So inept quarterback play, and then other teams are just stacking the box because the Jets could do nothing, and he struggled. Outside of Breece Hall's bursts in that first game, he struggled too to get going. So I think with Zach Wilson becoming more competent, and yesterday was a really good example. He was really solid yesterday. He had a high completion percentage, near 200 yards passing. The pick I was fine with. We could talk about that, but I was fine with the pick. The PS2 gets a little lucky catching a ball between his legs, but whatever. He made the play. God bless. Good for him. But I thought he was solid. And as he continues to be solid and at that level, who knows if he even goes beyond that, that's going to open up things for the rest of these guys. So I don't think Dalvin Cook is done. I'm fine trying to work Izzy into the equation, but I mean, there's only so many carries to go around, and they've been giving love to Michael Carter. So I don't know. Right. To me, I don't think Dalvin Cook's done. I think he's got gas in the tank. You just got to get him out in space, and I think he can show you some of that home run ability he had in Minnesota.
It's hard with all the injuries he's had, that burst he used to have. It's just not there anymore. I think if you give him a little bit more consistent touches, I get it because we're paying him a lot of money for a backup to come in and do the job behind Breece Hall. But I still want to see something a little bit more, and even a little bit after the bye week. And then I do want to transition over to Izzy. I've been calling it last 6 months. I think Izzy should be number 2 eventually down like later this year. If Cook can't get there, I know they're giving a little bit more to Carter. I get that, and every right to, but man, it's so hard with Cook right now because you see the potential, like a little, like yesterday. He had great couple runs. I'm like, okay, little by little, right? Little by little against a defense that's just not been that great. Man, a little bit more, and then I kind of want to see where we go from here with our other two.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick correction. I see Jared B in our comments, or excuse me, highlight the wrong comment here. Jared B saying Izzy is not on the practice squad. Israel
No,
Abanikanda is
no,
on the he's on the
no.
53-man roster. They're
Yeah,
making him inactive each week. You have 53
yeah.
players on the roster, and you have to make a certain amount of players inactive on a week to week basis. Because that's just how the roster rules work. So he is not on the practice squad. If he was, he would have been claimed already as a
Oh, for
day
sure,
3 pick.
for sure.
But no, it's going to be, it's going to be one of those slow burns. And you bring up Devon Achan for the Miami Dolphins. And the only thing I would say is he was a second round pick and Izzy was a day 3 pick. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but I understand on a bare basic level what Jet fans are saying. A lot of speed, use it in bursts. What could happen? Again, we'll see if Nathaniel Hackett lets that out of the bag at some point. But again, you guys got to remember that Dalvin Cook was paid $7 million, and the
Right.
team explained it recently. Robert Sauer said he didn't have an off season because he wasn't with the teams, or he didn't have the OTAs or mini camps or any of that. And then now he's going from RB1, a volume runner who gets a ton of touches, and he finds himself in a game because he knows he's getting the touches, to, hey, RB2, cold turkey, spots, do the same thing you did before. It's easier said than done. I know fans don't have patience with that, but again, at
Right.
the end of the day, I think there's going to be one of those games where Cook has something, and I'm going to turn to the fans and go, suck it. And I will be doing one of those when it happens. Hopefully it happens. That's how, hopefully it happens. You see how it's changing as we're going deeper in this conversation. So hopefully it happens. I do want to bring this up because I just saw Co bring up Xavier Gibson.
Yeah.
Xavier Gibson had multiple fumbles in the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I love the fact that the Jets stuck by him. And it
Me
would have
too.
been very easy
Me
to
too.
go away from him, go to Randall Cobb or something. But that young man was the reason, of course, we won the Buffalo Bills game. And
Yeah.
obviously, he had a no-no, and that fumble could have resulted in a game-changing play. But the defense immediately converts a turnover. Thanks, Sean Payton, for calling a triple reverse bullshit after Sauce Gardner gets hurt. That's exactly what I would have called if I was calling the plays in Denver land. So thanks, pal, you idiot. But on the Xavier Gibson note, I will say that thank goodness they stuck by him because he's a young kid that's going to have a lot of juice the rest of the year.
I'm happy they stuck by him too. I know he didn't really have a good game, but you know what? He's an undrafted guy that came in. Had a great offseason, great game against Buffalo. You're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna bounce back, and he bounced back. I was not worried about Gibson. A lot of people are like, what are we doing with Gibson? And why isn't Hardman out there? Well, first off, we don't know why Hardman isn't in there, but also Gibson bounced back. He did bounce back, and I was really happy for the kid.
Yeah, by the way, Jared, thank you for the correction. Achan third round selection. My apologies. Still day 2 though to day 3. That was more the point, but I eat the L there. I was wrong on Achan. Although I'm sure Dolphins fans are like, thank goodness we got Achan instead of Dalvin Cook. I believe that's what they're saying right now about that. So we'll see on that factoid. Again, screw Sean Payton, screw that bastard. The Jets needed this one because I talked about the analytics yesterday. There is such a massive difference between 1-4, 4 straight losses for the Jets. That was a reality if they lost. They would have been 1-4 and lost 4 straight after the Buffalo Bills win, or 2-3 with the chance to get back to 500 ahead of the bye. Now, maybe they don't. Someone was laughing earlier and said, they're going 2-4 in the bye. Maybe they do. And if they go 2-4, I still think the season is salvageable to turn things around because, like I said, you got Giants, Chargers, Raiders. You got some of these opponents that I think he could get. Chargers making the West Coast, East Coast trip. I think there's a lot of potential. I don't want to get put the cart before the hearse. The horse before the cart here. Yeah, there we go. I can speak.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. There's a college education, Mom. So the point is. The point is that I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there's an opportunity. There's a massive gap between those two things. Real quick, I want to answer this. Jihad just coming out on Facebook. Sauce did get hurt during the game, but immediately came back in, so no concern. He was just kind of wrong place, wrong time, where he's just standing, and a Bronco defender gets thrown into a knee. Looked like a mini hyperextension. I'm not a doctor. Just play one on the show every once in a while. And I was just like, oh boy, not Sauce.
Exactly.
And he was fine. He finished the game and spoke with the media, so he's fine. Thank God. But that was scary. Hopefully, DJ Reed is back next week. But
oh my gosh, we missed him so much. Oh my God, him and Eccles being out. I know Carter too didn't play horrible, but you could tell we were missing a lot on that side. Like, I mean, good for Breece Hall, you know, with the end touchdown, we picked it up and ran it in. Good for him with that. But man, you could tell we were missing them a lot.
Oh, for sure. And it's a credit that the Jets were able to survive that sort of thing. Maybe this is too hyperbolic, but when you win a game without DJ Reed, one of your best players, it's like gravy. Like, hey, wow, we got that one. We didn't even need DJ Reed. So when he comes back, like I said, hopefully for this Eagles game, concussions are non-linear injuries. So there's no telling. You just have to go through the proper protocol, and then hopefully you're there at the end of the rainbow for the Eagles game. So we'll see what happened from that perspective. Ko says we should be 3-2. Hell, we could be 4-1. I mean, the Patriots game is still disgusts me after seeing these two blowouts, Patriots getting waxed, which is entertaining, of course, because I love watching New England get, slapped around. But then it just makes me go, son of a, we had those bastards. And obviously, the Chiefs last week were robbed from the refs. So, yeah, the Jets could easily be in a much different scenario right now. But again, hopefully they use that as fuel, certainly moving forward. Italy, as we wrap up the show here, are there any final nuggets? Because the next show tomorrow morning with Rivka Board of JetsXFactor.com, above her head will be a logo of the Philadelphia Eagles as we make that transition with Boy Green Daily. Any final Jets-Broncos thoughts you need to get off your chest?
This defense played down to the Broncos level. And I think there are times where we played down to the Broncos level. And we can't do that anymore. This is not a top 3 defense anymore. This is more like a top 10, 13. We need to start more consistently. We need to go in the Eagles at home before the bye week and be like, hey, we're still here. Let's come back. We're off this high win for Hackett. We're off this high win for Breece Hall. Had a great game. But we just need to start better. And we need to capitalize. And we did capitalize at the end. But the consistency and playing down the team's level, we just got to work more on that. And if Zach Wilson can continue to make those throws and figure out the offensive line, we're going to be just fine.
We need another revenge angle. Can we steal some Eagles guy who was miffed by the organization and just bring him in this week and say, this one's for you, random guy?
Yeah,
because the team played some inspired football. Like now on a week-to-week basis, I want to find someone who the organization disrespected. I don't care if it's from the 80s or something. I'll bring him in and say, this one's for this guy or this gal. That's what I think we should do. But nonetheless, it was a thrilling win.
Yes.
I wish it was
no victory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I wish it was more convincing. And the Jets said it after the game that Robert Saleh thinks they could have washed this team or waxed this team, whatever terminology he used, if we score a couple of different times in the red zone. So red zone offense has to get better. Certainly, like I said, some of these things you did against the Broncos, you won't get away with better teams. Poor red zone offense of not converting, and then also, of course, starting faster. So if both of those things can get addressed, we'll have a couple of Philadelphia Eagles insiders on the show later this week. Italy, you're one of the best in the business. Thanks for popping on, my friend.
Hey, thank you. Thank you to the chat. Everyone's shouting me out. Thank you so much. I'm Italy Jed. I'm everywhere with sports. Do 8 shows a week. And keep following Boy Green and keep following me. We're doing good things.
Damn right. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7:30. Take care, everybody.